Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Surbhi Sharma. Here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Thursday, the 5th of September. India announces $1 billion line of credit for Russia's Far East. Former US Defense Secretary Mattis says Pakistan most dangerous country. And at least 10 killed in Taliban attack in Kabul. And now for all the details. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the plenary session of the 5th Eastern Economic Forum in Russia on Thursday. Modi said that India will walk shoulder to shoulder with Russia in its development of the Far East and announced a $1 million line of credit for the development of the resource-rich region.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi said on Thursday that India would offer Russia $1 billion credit line to help develop Russia's Far East region. Addressing the plenary session of the 5th Eastern Economic Forum in the city of Vladivostok, Prime Minister Modi said that India will walk shoulder to shoulder with Russia in its development of the Far East. The Prime Minister, in presence of Russian President Vladimir Putin, also unveiled the Act Far East policy to boost India's engagement with Russia's Far East region.
फार ईस्ट के विकास में और योगदान देने के लिए भारत $1 बिलियन की लाइन ऑफ क्रेडिट देगा। यह पहला मौका है कि हम किसी देश के क्षेत्र विशेष को लाइन ऑफ क्रेडिट दे रहे हैं। मेरी सरकार की एक्ट ईस्ट पॉलिसी ने ईस्ट एशिया को एक्टिवली engage किया है।
Prime Minister Modi earlier met his Malaysian and Japanese counterparts and held bilateral talks with them on the sidelines of the forum. Modi arrived in Russia on a two-day visit on Wednesday to participate in the 28th India-Russia Annual Summit with President Putin and for the Eastern Economic Forum.
India, under the new anti-terror law, designated Lashkar-e-Taiba founder Hafiz Saeed and 3 others as terrorists. Backing India, the US has said the move has expanded possibilities of cooperation between the two countries in fighting terrorism. The US has backed India on its move to declare Lashkar-e-Taiba founder Hafiz Saeed and 3 others individual terrorists under the new anti-terror law, saying the move has expanded possibilities of cooperation between the two countries in fighting terrorism. The Acting Assistant Secretary for South and Central Asia on Thursday tweeted, "We stand with India and commend it for utilizing new legal authorities to designate 4 notorious terrorists." On Wednesday, Lashkar-e-Taiba Chief Hafiz Saeed, Jaish-e-Mohammed Chief Masood Azhar, LAT's Supreme Commander of Operations in Kashmir, Zakir-ur-Rahman Lakhvi, and fugitive underworld don Daud Ibrahim were designated as terrorists under the amended Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, UAPA, through a government notification. India says that Azhar was behind several terrorist incidents in India, including the 2001 attack on the parliament. Saeed was also the mastermind of the 2008 Mumbai attacks that killed more than 160 people. These decisions have been taken nearly a month after the Indian Parliament approved a crucial amendment to the Unlawful Activities Prevention Amendment Act 1967. The amendment to the Act allows the Indian government to designate individuals as terrorists. Former US Defense Secretary James Mattis has said he considers Pakistan as the most dangerous country he dealt with in his career. In his autobiography released this week, he cited the reasons to be the level of radicalization of Pakistan society and its nuclear weapons.
Former US Defense Secretary James Mattis has called Pakistan the most dangerous country he had to deal with. 68-year-old military veteran Mattis made these comments in his latest book titled Call Sign Chaos: Learning to Lead. He has written in his autobiography, which was released on Tuesday, that of all the countries I have dealt with, I consider Pakistan to be the most dangerous because of the radicalization of its society and the availability of nuclear weapons. He said we can't have the fastest growing nuclear arsenal in the world falling into the hands of the terrorists breeding in their midst. The result would be disastrous. Mattis also framed US-Pakistan relations as a continuing narrative afflicted by differences and distrust. He writes, "We could manage our problems with Pakistan, but our divisions were too deep and trust too shallow to resolve them. And that is the state of our relationship to this day."
In news from Afghanistan, at least 10 people were killed and more than 40 wounded in a suicide blast on Wednesday near the headquarters of Afghanistan's NATO force and the US embassy in Kabul. The Taliban claimed responsibility for the attack.
A suicide blast in the center of Kabul killed at least 10 people and wounded more than 40 on Thursday, destroying cars and shops in an area near the headquarters of Afghanistan's NATO force and the US embassy, officials said. Taliban claimed responsibility for the attack even as the insurgents and US officials have been negotiating a deal on a US troop withdrawal in exchange for Taliban security guarantees. Witnesses said the suicide bomber blew himself up as hundreds of people were standing or crossing the road. Thursday's attack came 3 days after at least 16 people were killed and several wounded in a truck bomb attack in Kabul. It was also claimed by the Taliban.
More news from Afghanistan. Afghan President Ashraf Ghani's spokesperson has said that the government is concerned about the US-Taliban peace deal and further clarity on the document is needed to completely analyze its negative consequences. The Afghan government has concerns about the draft peace agreement reached between US and the Taliban negotiators and wants further clarification, President Ashraf Ghani's main spokesperson, Sadiq Siddiqui, said on Wednesday. In a series of tweets, Siddiqui said the Afghan government is concerned and would like further clarity on the document to completely analyze its dangers and negative consequences and avoid the dangers. The deal, intended to open the way for intra-Afghan talks, was presented to President Ashraf Ghani this week by Zalmay Khalilzad, the special US envoy for peace in Afghanistan. It would see around 5,000 US troops withdrawn and 5 bases closed in exchange for guarantees that Afghanistan would not be used as a base for militant attacks on America. However, there have been no let-up in violence so far, with the Taliban stepping up attacks in the capital Kabul and provincial centers across the country. In recent days, large groups of insurgent fighters have attacked the northern cities of Kunduz and Pule Khumri. In news from Bangladesh, Rohingya refugees sheltered in Bangladesh have expressed their concern over the decision to block mobile data services for them due to security concerns in the country. The decision was announced this week amid a spike in violent crimes near the refugee camps.
Rohingya refugees living in Bangladeshi camps have expressed their unhappiness over the decision to block mobile data services due to security concerns in the country. The decision came following a spike in violent crimes in Bangladesh's Cox's Bazar district, where more than 1 million Rohingyas are sheltered. Bangladesh's Telecom Regulatory Authority on Tuesday ordered mobile phone operators to partially block high-speed data services to areas where Rohingya refugees are living in sprawling camps.
12 লাখ রোহিঙ্গা আছে যেড়ে তো এড়ে হদুন পুরা মুরা সন্তান আছে তো এটার আল্লাহ বলি হয় আর যদি মোবাইল যদি বন্ধ করে ফেলতে গেলে আর তো চলতে হইতে আর তো বেশি কষ্ট হইব বেশি দুঃখ পাইও বেশি সমস্যা আছে বলে আমার তো সমস্যা বলতে আমার যোগাযোগ করে না পারিব আর ভাই আত্মীয়স্বজন আছে ভাই আনলে যোগাযোগ করে না পারিব ইয়ার পরে বিদেশ আছে ওই যে ভাই আছে বিদেশের মধ্যে সৌদি আরব আছে দুবাই আছে তাই যদি বিদেশের মধ্যে যোগাযোগ করে না পারলে এটা তারা খবর পাত্র এটা খবর পাত্র ফাইম কেন করি আর তো আর একটা হলকা হামদ যায় বাদিও হামদ গিলে যদি মোবাইল যদি যোগাযোগ করে না পারলে তারা খবর পাত্র ফাইম কেন করি আল্লাহ আর মোবাইল যদি সিম যদি বন্ধ করলে আর দুই সমস্যা হবে
Over 730,000 Rohingyas fled Myanmar for Bangladesh after a military crackdown in August 2017 that the United Nations has said was perpetrated with genocidal intent. Myanmar has denied almost all the allegations.
In news from Nepal, animal rights activists staged a protest in Kathmandu on Wednesday against the recent incidents of brutality against cows and stray dogs. They held placards and chanted slogans against animal cruelty.
Animal rights activists gathered in Nepal's capital Kathmandu on Wednesday to protest against the recent killings of cows and dogs in Surkhet and Khotang districts of the country. About 25 cows were found dead and over 100 were thrown off the slopes in Nepal's Surkhet district last week. In another incident, a video of municipality officials in Khotang district torturing and killing a stray dog went viral on social media. The protesters were seen holding placards and banners decrying inhuman behavior against the animals.
हाम्रो एक्टमा त छ तर त्यो हुन्छ नि अब प्रपर वेमा चाहिँ इम्प्लिमेन्टेसन भएको छैन है अब म चाहिँ नि गभर्नमेन्टलाई के भन्न चाहन्छु भने एउटा स्ट्रिक्ट रुल्स एन्ड रेगुलेसन ल्याएर चाहिँ अगाडि बढ्नु पर्यो सो दैट हुन्छ नि एनिमल एब्युज र क्रुएल्टीको कुरा चाहिँ नि बिस्तारै कम हुँदै जाओस् हाम्रो नेपालमा
तर नेपालमा अहिलेसम्म त्यस्तो स्थिति छैन जुन सरकारी निकायमा बसेको छ जो ओहदामा बसेर जस्तै कानुन बनाउँछ उनीहरूले नि मिचिरहेको अवस्था छ.
Activists at the protest also outlined the grave condition of animal rights in Nepal, claiming that the government itself is violating the provisions. According to local authorities of Khotang district, the canines were being caught and killed as part of the campaign to rid the town of stray dogs, local media reported.
Exiled Tibetan spiritual leader Dalai Lama on Wednesday began a teaching session in India's northern hill town of Dharamshala. Hundreds of people from across the globe are participating in the three-day session.
Hundreds of people, including monks, nuns and followers from across the globe, gathered in India's northern hill town of Dharamshala on Wednesday to take part in the teaching session of Tibetan spiritual leader Dalai Lama. Dalai Lama spoke about the Four Noble Truths, their 16 characteristics and 37 factors of enlightenment during the teaching session. The event was organized on the request of a group of Asian followers.
His Holiness is the embodiment of compassion and wisdom, and so it's really wonderful to be here for everybody, I think.
I mean, this is an international Sangha, and Dalai Lama is the most important person on this planet right now to me, and I think to all the devotees also.
Exiled Tibetan spiritual leader Dalai Lama has lived in India since fleeing a failed uprising against Chinese rule of his homeland in 1959. A government of exiled Tibetans and tens and thousands of refugees are also based in Dharamsala in India's northern Himachal Pradesh province.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude, the top stories once again. India announces $1 billion line of credit for Russia's Far East. Former US Defense Secretary Mattis says Pakistan most dangerous country. And at least 10 killed in Taliban attack in Kabul. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsia Newsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsia Newsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time tomorrow. Good night.